Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk 20s podcast. I hope you guys have had a good week, and I hope you have a great rest of your week after you're done listening to this episode. Another one down. BT is back from his vacation from Florida. Once again, our recent 1-year anniversary of the podcast just surpassed, and I appreciate all the love and support that we've gotten from episode 1 up until now, and we're going to keep grinding it out, approaching episode 50. But for the topic today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about trust in others. So kind of talking about how does your trust in yourself affect your trust in others? Has there been a time in your life when someone has betrayed your trust? If so, how did that affect your future and trust in others? What does one look for in someone to trust them? And much more in this episode. And I think it's going to be a good one. But gentlemen, Connor, GT, what is going on today?
What's up, guys?
Fellas, how y'all
Back, nice and relaxed.
I'm doing great.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
I'm glad to be back, boys.
I gotta ask you guys, with the NBA playoffs going on right now, I don't know if you guys been
Oh,
watching or not.
dude.
Who do you have winning it all?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I think
I
it's
just started
definitely going to
keeping up
be
with that.
Denver Nuggets against Miami Heat, and it's fun
Yeah,
series to watch.
I'm gonna pick the Nuggets, even though I like Jimmy Butler. I'm gonna pick the Nuggets.
Dude, I think Jimmy Buckets might be coming in just out of nowhere, dropping another like 40, 50 piece.
Yeah, both teams are kind of insane, but there's something about when you have a fucking 7-foot man in the paint.
Who can just
Good luck.
score
I mean,
no matter
dude.
what. And he can shoot threes.
Dude, he's unstoppable, bro. He's insane.
Yeah,
Bro,
he is.
He is insane.
He's
Jokic is
6'11",
insane.
7 foot, 285 pounds. It's a big man.
Like you said, he's not afraid to take those threes too, and he can actually shoot. That's the fucking crazy part about it.
It's
But,
wild.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, trust in others. I kind of want to open the floor here. Trust is a hard thing to learn, an easy thing to lose. What makes this true or false in your opinion?
Oh man, I think it's not a dual-bladed sword, but it's one of those where you can work extremely hard for it, but it's like you mess up one time and it can be completely gone for the rest. Your life with someone, which, it just all depends on a different person. I think, yeah, mainly it's like situations, experiences you had with those people or that person. I think it has a lot to deal with what you guys have been through together. Like, have you guys been there during hard times, or has it just been like easy times, or is it like maybe coworkers or family? There's so many different trust relationships, I guess. And every relationship has different trust levels because of the things you encounter together and experience. I think for some people, it's a lot easier just because it's doesn't affect your life or have as much of an impact on you. Whereas, like, obviously, your parents or a family member, a best friend that you've been through for a while. I know Connor and Tanner, you guys have been really good friends, best friends. Tanner and I have been best friends since like first day we met each other at church.
I think your own personal relationship with trust is also like the biggest indicator to how hard it can be to earn, or how easy it can be to learn, or how easy it is to lose. Like, I know for me, because a lot of what I go through is just in my head and stuff. Like, I tend to be more trusting of people who are not as judgmental and who are more open-minded and things like that. And so sometimes it's a little bit easier for me to trust certain personality types, but certain ways that people might react to what I'm talking about, like sometimes I find it a little bit easier to trust, for example. But that's like my personal view of trust and what I need from the people that are important to me in my life. But then there's like another level of trust that GT is tapping on, where like, yeah, GT, like if I needed something, I know if I asked you, you would do it. And likewise, if you asked me to do something more close, I would be there for you in a heartbeat, like if you really needed me to. But then of course, I've known Tanner super long as well. And it's like, there's something about like the length of time, I feel like, that definitely has to do with how much harder it is to lose somebody's trust. I feel like when you're first getting to know somebody, I think it's a lot easier to lose their trust because you don't have that connection and that history with them. But when you've been with them for a while, it's harder and harder and harder. I have given multiple people that were in my life for a decade or longer multiple chances to prove their trust to me so that I would still trust them, because I always trusted them for so long. So when they stopped proving that they could trust me, I didn't want to give that up, because of our relationship that we had in our history. But after a certain point, I lost it because of repeated behaviors that this person had.
I think it's the length of time of your friendship, and also what a big part of it for me personally is my ability to forgive, or my forgiveness with certain people. Because I hate to be biased, but there are certain people that person A or person B did the same exact thing in order to, let's say, betray my trust, right? I would probably forgive person a little bit more than I would person B. And I hate to admit that, but it's like,
Mm.
it's being honest. Your ability to forgive people is, and your length of time of relationship with that individual. Because yeah, I'll say that, but at the same time, I personally keep my circle really small. And so if anyone in my circle betrays my trust, especially if I've known you for longer, that almost frustrates me more, and I give you less of a chance, because you should know by now how I am and how much trust and being genuine and honest with me means. Like, that's a huge part of my relationship with people. And so the longer I've known you, and then you do happen to backstab or betray my trust, or let me down to a degree that I don't find forgiving, or forgivable, I should say, I'm different than most people with that. But we interrupt this podcast for a quick word from our sponsors. Hey guys, something that we talk about in the podcast several times, and it's a theme that it goes on throughout the podcast, is mental health and how important therapy services can be for you, especially in your 20s, as we're trying to figure this thing out called life. That's why I would like to thank our sponsor for this podcast, BetterHelp. If you guys do not know who BetterHelp is, they are an online therapy service, the world's largest, with over 20,000 licensed therapists that are conveniently placed for you. All you do is fill out a questionnaire, and they try to match you with a therapist based on your wants and needs. And if you happen to not like that therapist, you can absolutely switch to as many therapists as you want to find the perfect one for you at no additional charge. You guys have a 24/7 text line with the BetterHelp service, a weekly video chat with your therapist, and much more included in this, rather than in-person therapy, which some people may feel a little intimidated by. This therapy on the go concept, I think, is brilliant, especially for people in their 20s who love the convenience. Guys, I think this is a great solution for a lot of people who listen to the podcast. I know that there are several people that I know who have used this online therapy service with BetterHelp, and it is fantastic. So if you guys are interested, visit BetterHelp, HELP.com/Let's Talk 20s to receive 10% off your guys' first month of therapy. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/Let's Talk 20s. Guys, I appreciate you listening to the sponsor, and let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, you kind of said it yourself. It's like you're different from other people, and that has to do with the boundaries that you set for others, but it also has to do with the boundaries and trust that you set for yourself, in my opinion. I think a big part of trust in others and the trust that you have for other people and the standards that you hold, it comes from the trust that you have in yourself. So I'm curious, besides that, in other ways, how does trust in yourself affect your trust in other people? What do you guys think?
I would say, especially for us, I know 20s is like an experimental time period, so obviously it's like finding that trust within different situations, and us being on our own, or maybe going out and having to apply to all these jobs, like, PhD school for Tanner, or finding new jobs for ourselves, right? I'm currently looking for a full-time, real big adult job. It's one of those where I think it comes through all the trials and tribulations. So finding that little trust that you can build on the little things, so it can be one of those to where it can be more solidified and then edited a little bit, kind of like sculpted. If you had a rock like the Ten Commandments, right? That's in rock. You can put your own 10 morals or whatever, and it can be edited, or like a painting or something like that. But I definitely think it's something that you have to be able to trust in yourself first, because if you can't even trust yourself, how are you going to be able to put yourself in someone's hand, and they got to make those decisions? Because if they don't match your morals, or if they don't, your beliefs or whatever it may be, how in the world are you going to be able to get behind it when you don't even know their true purpose or intentions or thoughts or ideas about it?
Yeah.
I think it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. They say that you attract who you are, in your life. They say that you tend to pick up the tendencies or habits or morals of people that you hang out with the most. How are we going to be friends with someone who is completely opposite? We have nothing to relate to, right? So a lot of people in our life, we have kind of bits and pieces that we have in common or hobbies in common. So I think if you are attracting people in your life and you have a bunch of people in your life betray you or you don't have a lot of trust in, that's going to affect how you feel about yourself and other way around. So if you realize that you yourself are not a very trustworthy person and you realize that you yourself kind of don't keep your end of your word up and everything like that, that is going to translate to your relationship slash relationships you have going on in your life.
Bam.
Spot on. I can't really. I
Bam.
can't. I'm not even gonna add on more. That was well said. You took my answer, Tanner. Well said.
No, good
Thank
stuff,
you.
Tanner. You have a lot of trust, obviously more trust in the people that you've known, longer. All three of us have said it, but at the same time, like Tanner said, he gets like one of those where you should know by now, you shouldn't be going or backstabbing or anything. I wanted to bring this up of is there a situation that you guys think of where you don't really know someone, but you had to put trust in them, and how did that end up going? Because I think those situations are interesting to see because those are like you're jumping out and you're trusting in someone that you don't have full 100% trust in.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is, I mean, there's a couple of things, but I'm thinking of when I first worked in a restaurant, actually, funnily enough, and I was working as a line cook, and I worked with these people for a little bit, and I was good friends with them before I got on the line because I worked at a Taco Mac, so you guys know that. So
Good old Taco
I
Mac.
before I got yeah, of course, yeah. Before I got on the line, I knew these guys, but I didn't know them super well. And so when I had to go on the line and it was a busy Saturday night, I had to basically kind of put my trust in them because they knew what they were doing and they had been there for a while, whereas I didn't know what was going on. So I kind of had to trust them and kind of assume that they knew what that they were doing because I was so new to all this. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It led to mixed results. I figured out very quickly who they were after trying to put my trust in them, which is something that I think we can relate to is when you put your trust in somebody that you don't know super well, you tend to find out who they are pretty quickly. So I realized very quickly who was going to take advantage of my trust, who is going to take advantage of me and who wasn't going to take advantage of me. And the people that didn't take advantage of me, I'm still friends with to this day and still every now and then we'll hit up. The people that the people that didn't take advantage of me, I don't know if I said that, the people that did or who were kind of like not great to work with, who were kind of jerks about it, they either left or I just wasn't good friends with them. So I think it just depends on the situation. Mine's not like super personal in a way, but I think when you put your trust in people you don't know, you learn who they are very quickly, especially if you have a good principle of what your trust boundaries are.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. We put our trust in others every single day without really realizing. Like as a kid, we grow up, we get on a school bus, we hope and assume and trust in a school bus driver to get us to school and home safely. When we go to the doctor, we hope that the doctor is prescribing us all of this or that procedures, whatnot. We're putting our life or a lot of our health in their hands. I don't know shit about cars, so every time I go get my car fixed up and they say something needs fixed and all that, or my brake pads are bad, well, if I don't put my trust in them and assume that something actually needs to be done, and then I go on the highway and my brakes fail and I can't stop my car, well, that's on me. But I have to put my trust in people. So we do this on a daily basis. We have to. We can't have 100% control on our lives 24/7. But the I hate talking about it again, but the most recent one where I put a lot of trust in people were my old professor and a bunch of my bosses from both of my PT jobs. Because for letters of recommendation for grad school, I was unable to upload the letters of recommendation myself. They had to do it. I had to send them an email link, and they directly did it. So I didn't see what they wrote about me and what the letters of recommendation had said until after they already submitted it, and my full on application was already gone. So I was nervous, not because I thought they would say anything bad about me, but obviously I want them to hype me up, right? I want them to say a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
great things about me. So I put that trust, and a large portion of probably why I got into some schools, if not interviewed at the minimum, was because of the letters of recommendation that they wrote. for me.
I think especially for sports, because I know Tanner can absolutely relate to this. You get on a new team, you don't know anybody on this team, but you have like stuff that you've heard from people, but you now have to go in there almost like unbiased and learn these people in and out because these are people who you have to trust on. Like in soccer, you have to trust on people for them to be able to take one if they need to take a header or off the chest or, give them a
Yeah,
pass if they're going to make a good pass, and you need to trust them. Especially in music, dude, if you miss a single note, some people think like it's
right.
ruined.
Band.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
both
Tanner, we can
got
both relate on that.
banned.
Yeah,
Marching
Like
band.
y'all have to basically, you all have
yeah,
to combine together and sound the same. So, but for me, it's a
yeah.
lot of it is sports just because I did a whole lot of sports growing up. And it's people that, because especially one I think of off the bat is transferred into another high school.
Great answer. There are a lot of everyday situations, but also personal examples we could get into. But we just talked about putting our trust into someone, and we all talked about kind of hopefully positive interactions in order for us to actually continue on. But what about the flip side of that? When someone has betrayed your trust, I know we've all been there, done that, but how did that affect your future trust in others after someone has betrayed your trust?
Oh, this is putting my business out there. God bless. So my first like official girlfriend, I had trust in her. Oh yeah, here we
God.
go. Oh, not the other one. We've been dating for a couple months, and I was really starting to get to like her and all that stuff. We're with family. She's met my family, all that stuff. Then spring football game comes around, right? And I'm linebacker, and I make a big time tackle at the goal line, and I sack the quarterback, right? And I make a big play, and everyone's going crazy because it's like everyone comes out of school and watches the game. And then I looked for her, and I was like pointed to her, and I saw a dude right up behind her, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" I was like, "I don't know this dude." I was mad. I was pissed off. She posts on her story of her riding in his car, and she tried to tell me that he just dropped her off at the house, but she left in the like early third quarter. I was like, "Girl, you had some time with him," because I know. Because my thing is, I knew exactly where you live. You live like not even 10 minutes from the school. Don't try to pull none of this crap on me. I come to find out that I got cheated on, and she got, yeah, bro, and she got pregnant and then had to have an abortion. Yeah,
This took a
Okay.
yeah,
wow.
Wow. Okay. And that could,
Jeez,
you know
man.
what? It sounds like,
yeah.
You dodged a
Phew,
yeah.
thank
bullet.
God.
Wow.
Yeah, told
Wow.
you, put my
Okay.
business
I
out
was not
there.
expecting that
Talk
ending,
about
but
betraying.
like it was still the lead up. I mean, that's rough, dude. I mean, cheating is something I've always been afraid of, but definitely my last relationship, I can for sure, since we're talking about relationships, just fucked up my trust. Even now to this day, it feels so bad to the point where I have trouble even talking bad about her. Not trouble, but like I'm not as bad as I used to be, but after we were done, I had trouble talking bad about her. I would still try to defend her and stuff, even though she clearly made like a lot of mistakes. But I never realized like
Trashed on
how
my.
much of shit yeah, and I should because it's not healthy for one. I'm clearly holding on to stuff, and two, I never realized how much I was forced to hold on to because I was the problem so many times because of my reactions, because of what I did, and because of how I was made to fucking feel. It's hard because I trusted her a lot, and I had a very high expectation and perception of who this person was, of who Teresa was, and it kind of fucked me up for a while. And I still am reeling from it at times just because I was so wrong and I had never been that wrong before about anybody. So it kind of messes with me because it makes me way more cautious now to go with my instinctive reaction and trusting people. It's made it much more difficult than it has because I thought I was right and I was so wrong and I avoided stuff for so long to this day I still like don't even have all the answers about it. So it fucked me up. It can fuck up your trust and how you even treat your current people that you know that you trust. It can still make you
And
question
before
things.
Tanner
It's
hops
awful.
in, if he does the relationship part, which Connor, now you got Shay, I got Addison, Tanner got Cam. Because if Tanner's about to go in relationships, I think I know exactly where this is going. I think Connor knows
Oh
exactly where
yeah,
it's
I
going
mean,
too.
I know too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
if
both
he's doing
know where it's
relationships,
going.
yeah.
I do not know what you guys are talking about
Okay,
Okay,
in
okay.
sure.
relationships.
Okay.
Um,
Can it explain to me?
yeah, so that happened. That was one for sure.
I'll
But
brush it off.
yeah, you know what actually pisses me off more though is betray my trust or whatever. But really, what happens? It's the way that you betray me and how you act towards me after. If you do something that betrays my trust, but then you apologize after and you're like really trying to make amends, you immediately regretting. You're like, oh fuck, that's fine. If you betray my trust and then you act like you're right, or if you betray my trust and you don't try to
And make amends.
reconcile with me or whatever, and then on top of it, you just make amends and everything, and it just keeps going and going. That is what frustrates me the most. But I mean, people come and go
Happens.
in your life, right? That's a fact. There are going to be people that disappoint you. That is a fact. But for people who betray your trust, disappoint you, whatever, but then continue to, after everything's said and done, to continue like down this path of just either trying to mess up your current life or just continuously make you think negatively about trusting others. That's the part that gets me, and that's the part I don't understand about when people do betray your trust. It's I don't know. It's how you act afterwards for me.
I get
Mm-hmm.
that.
You know what I'm
Yep.
trying to say, or no? Okay.
Well, it's not that the people in our lives are never going to hurt us,
Right.
especially those that are close to us. Unfortunately, it's inevitable because we're human and we make mistakes and we do things that we don't mean to do at times,
Yeah.
and sometimes our heads are in a place that they shouldn't be and we need to refocus our priorities. That's how life is, it's always shifting. And that for me is a reason why when you find people that you like, when you find people that you feel close to, that's why you need to have trust in other people, because it's like a constant, it's like a staple, it's like a rock, like there's people in my lives that are rocks, and I need to have that because of the struggles in life, because of the ups and downs, because of the consistent nature of what our friendship can be, in spite of like the up and down nature hitting it. It's like big waves crashing against a rock. It can
Yeah.
weather a rock after a certain amount of time, but some rocks are still standing after millions of years of water hitting it over and over again, right? That can be a relationship of trust. So I think that's why, at least for me, we need to learn to trust in other people. What do you guys think we need to learn to trust in other people besides some of the other reasons that we talked about? And how can that benefit us with our own relationship with ourselves and our
I think
relationship with
it's one of
others?
those where your game of life and it's through the first person view. But we need to have a solid team around us, but also to have a significant other or family that we can seriously trust because we're not going to be able to do everything on our own. It just, some people they can be self-made or whatever, but at the same time, like this world is massive and there's lots of things out there and lots of people out there. If it's one of those, you got to go through all this alone, but yeah, you can make life a whole lot easier and more enjoyable with those around you that, only can help you and bring you to a higher light and a higher platform and level. I feel like those trials and tribulations, you also learn through those trials and tribulations, and you learn about people and you learn more. There's what, over 8 billion people in this world, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of people. If you're by yourself, it's gonna be tough. But it's better to have a team
Yeah.
because you're stronger together.
Fair enough.
So I'd rather have a team with me.
Yeah. No, I get the purpose of having a team. I think the thing for me too is that it's hard to help someone through something or give advice on something if you have not experienced it yourself. And so if you try to do everything by yourself and not trust other people, and then someone in your life gets betrayed by someone, they come to you for advice, you don't know how that feels, right? The biggest thing about life is the experiences that you have, and either taking things as experiences that will haunt you for the rest of your life or trying to take some lessons from it and trying to experience life for its good and bad, not just for its good. That's not how life is. Life is not a fairy tale, right? So in order for you to trust other people and to experience betrayal and everything, you have to learn to trust people because, like JT said, you can't go through it alone. Life being completely independent is damn near impossible. So I think it's just important to understand you have to learn to trust people, and you're gonna have to understand that people will betray you. But it's just the way
It
it
strengthens you for the
has to go that
future,
way.
trusting
Yep.
other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very important thing to put trust in people. Like I said, simple things like taking the bus to work every day. You're trusting that person to get you to work safely every day. We can nitpick this and get down to the nitty gritty. Everyone trusts people to a degree. You have to. It's just to what degree for your friends and family and
Absolutely.
significant others, etc. But what about you, Connor?
I feel like I need to learn trust in other people so that I can also strengthen my relationship with with my own trust with myself too. I know a lot of again, and this is just for somebody who deals with like a heavy amount of anxiety. I have all this crazy shit coming into my head and all this intrusive stuff, and sometimes I don't know what to trust and what to trust. And so having people in my life that I can trust with how I'm feeling about things and having people that I can trust about what I'm going through makes me feel better about myself and makes me feel closer to them. It deepens my connection with people emotionally and it just makes it more satisfying. So it's kind of just harping on what you guys said, but it's also very emotionally satisfying for your own growth as a
I like
person.
that.
Yeah, I think I like that a lot too. I think this was a good episode,
Always.
as always. I think we got a little personal, try to give advice to people, and it's a very relatable topic. Once again, trust in
Mm-hmm.
others. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys listening or watching another episode of the Let's Talk 20s podcast. Follow the Instagram page, Let's Talk 20s podcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And until the next one, guys, peace.